The ship was dying. Taewoo could hear it in the way the engine coughed and sputtered like a sick animal. Red warning lights filled the small cockpit, and the smell of burning metal filled his nose. He gripped the controls hard and tried to keep the ship steady, but it was no use. He was going down. "Nari, give me something," he said to the ship's computer. "There is a planet below us," Nari's calm voice replied. "Velros Prime, it is abandoned. No life signs detected. I recommend emergency landing." Taewoo laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Recommend? We don't have a choice." The ship broke through the clouds, and Taewoo saw the planet for the first time. It was gray and dead. Old cities stood in ruins below, their tall buildings broken like rotten teeth. Whatever had lived here was long gone. The planet was a graveyard. The landing was rough. The ship hit the ground hard, and Taewoo's head slammed against his seat. For a moment, everything went black. When he opened his eyes again, smoke was rising from the console in front of him. He climbed out of the ship and stood on the gray soil. The air was thin but breathable. Around him there was nothing but dust, rocks, and the remains of a dead civilization. His ship was badly damaged. The left engine was completely destroyed, and parts of the hull were torn open. "Nari, how bad is it?" he asked through his communicator. "The ship requires new power cells and engine components. I am detecting a structure 2 kilometers north. There may be useful materials there." Taewoo looked at the gray horizon and sighed. He had no choice. He grabbed his bag, put on his jacket, and started walking. The structure Nari had found was a cave carved into the side of a mountain. But it was not a natural cave. Someone had made this place. Strange symbols covered the walls, and the entrance was shaped like the open mouth of some great beast. Taewoo felt a chill run down his spine, but he went inside anyway. The deeper he went, the darker it became. He turned on his flashlight and kept moving. The cave was large, much larger than he had expected. And then he saw them, bones, massive bones scattered across the cave floor. They belonged to creatures bigger than any animal Taewoo had ever seen. The skulls alone were the size of small cars, with long fangs and empty eye sockets. There were dozens of them, maybe hundreds. This was not just a cave. It was a tomb. "Nari, what were these things?" Taewoo whispered, scanning. There was a pause. The bone structure matches records of the Shinjay. They were an apex predator species native to this region. According to galactic records, they have been extinct for over 300 years. Taewoo looked at the massive skeletons around him. These creatures had been powerful, terrifying, and now they were all dead. He felt a strange sadness looking at them. He was about to turn back when he heard something. A small sound, weak and quiet. It was coming from deeper in the cave. Against his better judgment, Taewoo followed it. In the darkest corner of the cave, behind a pile of ancient bones, he found her. She was tiny. A small creature, no bigger than a house cat, with silver-white fur and 6 thin legs. Her body was covered in strange markings that glowed faintly in the darkness, like stars painted on her skin. But she was weak. Her ribs showed through her fur, and her breathing was shallow. When she opened her eyes and looked at Taewoo, he saw that they were purple, like broken pieces of amethyst. She was dying. Taewoo knelt down slowly. The creature watched him with those strange purple eyes, but did not run. She was too weak to run, too weak to do anything. "Hey there," Taewoo said softly. "What are you doing here all alone?" The creature made a small sound, something between a cry and a purr. It broke Taewoo's heart. He knew the rules. Galactic law was clear about alien contact. You do not touch unknown species. You do not take them from their planet. You report them and let the authorities handle it. That was the smart thing to do. The safe thing. Taewoo took off his jacket and wrapped it gently around the tiny creature. She was so light, almost weightless in his arms. He could feel her small heart beating against his chest. "Nari," he said as he walked back toward the ship, "what do you know about these Shinjay?" They were considered one of the most dangerous species in galactic history. The Velrosian Empire used them as living weapons. They were hunted to extinction after the Empire fell. This creature should not exist, Taiwu. I advise you to leave it. Taiwu looked down at the small bundle in his arms. She had closed her eyes and was resting against him, trusting him completely even though they had just met. I'm not leaving her, he said. This decision may cause significant problems for you in the future. No. He carried her back to his broken ship and set her down on his bed. He found some emergency rations and water, mixing them together into something soft enough for her to eat. She ate slowly at first, then faster as her hunger took over. When she was done, she looked up at him with those purple eyes. Taiwu smiled. I'm going to call you Bora, he said. It means purple, like your eyes. Bora made a soft sound and pressed her small head against his hand. In that moment, in a broken ship on a dead planet, surrounded by the bones of her ancestors, a bond was formed. Neither of them knew it yet. But this was the beginning of something that would shake the entire galaxy. 6 months had passed since that day on Velros Prime. Taiwu had fixed his ship with parts he found in the ruins and left that dead world behind. But he did not leave alone. Bora was with him, and she had changed. The tiny creature he had rescued was gone. In her place was something much larger. Bora was now the size of a big dog, and she was still growing. Her silver fur had darkened in places, showing streaks of deep purple that matched her eyes. Her 6 legs moved with a grace that was almost frightening to watch. When she walked, she made no sound at all. Taiwu watched her stretch across the floor of the ship. She yawned, showing rows of sharp white teeth. A few months ago, he could hold her in one hand. Now she took up half the cargo bay. You're getting too big for this ship, he said with a smile. Bora turned her head and looked at him. Her purple eyes were intelligent, understanding. She made a low rumbling sound in her chest, something like a cat's purr but deeper. It was her way of saying she was happy. Living with Bora was not easy. She ate a lot. More than Taiwu could afford most days. He had to take extra jobs, dangerous jobs, just to keep her fed. Deliveries to places other pilots refused to go. Cargo that asked no questions. It was hard work, but he never complained. The bigger problem was other people. Most space stations had strict rules about animals, and Bora was not exactly a normal pet. When she walked through a station, people moved away. They looked at her with fear in their eyes. Some of them looked at Taiwu with anger, as if he was doing something wrong by keeping her. That human has a monster, he heard someone whisper once. Taiwu just smiled and kept walking. Bora stayed close to his side, her large body moving between him and the crowd. She was protecting him, he realized. She always protected him. It was during one of these station visits that they met. Yuna was a scientist who studied alien life forms. She worked at a small research station on the edge of known space. Taiwu had come to her because Bora was sick. She was not eating, and her markings had started to fade. He was scared. Yuna was a serious woman with sharp eyes and a calm voice. When she saw Bora, she stopped moving. Her face went pale. Where did you find this creature? She asked. Taiwu told her the story. The crash. The cave. The bones. The tiny dying cub he could not leave behind. Yuna listened without saying a word. When he finished, she sat down slowly as if her legs could no longer hold her. Do you know what she is? Yuna asked. Nari said she's called a shinjay, some kind of extinct predator. Yuna laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Predator. That word is too small. She looked at Bora, who was lying on the examination table, watching them both. The shinjay were living weapons. The Velrosian Empire used them to conquer entire star systems. A single shinjay could destroy an army. Taiwu felt his stomach tighten. She's just a baby. She won't be a baby forever. Yuna stood up and walked to Bora. She touched her fur gently, checking her body. The shinjay were not simple animals. They were symbiotic. They bonded with a single partner for their entire lives. When bonded, they changed. They grew to match the needs of their partner, emotionally, physically, mentally. What does that mean? Yuna looked at him with serious eyes. It means she is bonding with you. You are becoming her partner. Her growth, her development, her very nature will be shaped by who you are. Tewu looked at Bora. She was watching him, her purple eyes soft and trusting. He walked to her and placed his hand on her head. She pressed against his palm and made that deep purring sound again. "Is she sick?" he asked. Yuna shook her head. "No, she was just hungry for something I have here. A mineral supplement her species needs. I will give you enough to last several months." She paused. "But that is not the real danger, Taiwu. What is? If anyone finds out what she is, you will both be hunted. There are those who would kill to have a Shinjei. There are others who would kill to make sure no Shinjei ever exists again. You need to be careful. More careful than you have ever been in your life." Taiwu nodded slowly. He understood the danger. He had understood it from the beginning. But when he looked at Bora, he did not see a weapon. He did not see a monster. He saw his friend. "I'll protect her," he said. Yuna smiled just a little. "I think she would say the same about you." They left the research station that night. Bora was healthy again, her markings bright, her eyes clear. She sat next to Taiwu in the cockpit as he flew the ship through the stars. "It's just us against the galaxy," he said to her. "You and me." Bora pressed her large head against his shoulder. Her body rumbled with that deep, contented purr. The markings on her skin began to glow softly, pulsing in a slow rhythm. Taiwu realized with a start that the rhythm matched his own heartbeat. He put his hand on her head and smiled. Whatever came next, they would face it together. 1 year had passed since Taiwu found Bora in that dark cave. She was no longer a cub. She was no longer small. Bora was now the size of a horse, her body covered in silver and purple fur that seemed to glow in the darkness of space. Her 6 legs were thick with muscle, and her claws had hardened into something like crystal, sharp enough to cut through metal. When she moved, the ship trembled under her weight. But the most amazing change was the connection between them. Taiwu could feel her now, not just see her. When she was happy, he felt warmth in his chest. When she was scared, his heart beat faster. The markings on her skin pulsed with the same rhythm as his heartbeat. They were connected in a way that went beyond words. They had been traveling through the Koran expanse, a lawless region of space where rules did not exist. It was dangerous, but the jobs there paid well. Taiwu needed the money. Bora ate more than ever now, and fuel was expensive. That was when General Dako found them. Dako was a warlord, a cruel man who led a fleet of mercenary ships. He had heard the rumors about a human traveling with a monster. When his scouts confirmed that the monster was a Shinjei, he decided to take her for himself. A living weapon from legend. It would make him unstoppable. Taiwu's first warning was an explosion. Something hit the ship hard, throwing him against the wall. Alarms screamed. Red lights flashed everywhere. "We are under attack," Nari announced calmly. 4 enemy ships. They are demanding surrender. Can we run? Taiwu asked, climbing back to his feet. Negative. Engine damage is too severe? Another explosion. The ship shook again. Taiwu heard the terrible sound of metal being cut. Someone was boarding his ship. Bora rose to her full height. Her purple eyes were dark now, filled with something cold and dangerous. The fur on her back stood up, and a low growl came from deep in her chest. The sound was so powerful that Taiwu felt it in his bones. "Stay behind me," Taiwu said to her. He pulled out his small pistol, knowing it would do nothing against armored soldiers. But he had to try. The door burst open, and they came through. Soldiers in black armor carrying weapons that glowed with deadly energy. There were at least 10 of them, maybe more. Behind them, visible through the broken door, stood General Dako himself. He was a tall man with cold eyes and a smile that held no kindness. "So this is the famous Shinjei," Dako said, looking at Bora. "Smaller than I expected, but she will grow once she serves me." "She's not yours," Taiwu said, stepping forward. "She never be yours." Dako laughed. "Kill the human. Take the beast." The soldiers raised their weapons. Taiwu knew he was going to die. He had always known this day might come, but he felt no regret. He had saved Bora. He had given her a year of love and freedom. That was enough. The first shot hit him in the shoulder. He felt the burning pain and fell backward. The second shot hit his leg. He collapsed to the ground, his blood spreading across the metal floor. "Taiwu!" He heard the voice in his mind. It was not Nari, it was not his own thoughts. It was Bora. He could feel her terror, her rage, her desperate need to protect him, and then she changed. Light exploded from Bora's body. Her markings blazed like purple fire, filling the ship with blinding brightness. Her body grew, muscles expanding, bones stretching. She became something massive, something terrible, something beyond anything the galaxy had seen in 300 years. She roared. The sound was not just noise. It was power. It hit the soldiers like a physical force, throwing them backward, cracking their armor. Some of them fell and did not get up. The ones who could still move raised their weapons, but Bora was already among them. She moved like lightning. Her crystalline claws cut through armor as if it was paper. Her jaws closed around weapons and crushed them to dust. She was everywhere at once, a blur of silver and purple destruction. The soldiers screamed, but their screams did not last long. In less than a minute, it was over. The boarding party was destroyed. Bora stood in the center of the carnage, her massive body heaving with each breath. Blood that was not hers dripped from her claws. Only General Dako remained. He stood frozen in the doorway, his face white with fear. He had seen many terrible things in his life. He had never seen anything like this. Bora grabbed him with her jaws, lifting him from the ground. He screamed, expecting death. But death did not come. Instead, Bora carried him to where Taiwu lay bleeding on the floor. She dropped the warlord in front of her partner and waited. Taiwu looked up at Dako through eyes blurred with pain. He could kill this man. He deserved to die for what he had done. But Taiwu thought of Bora, of the lessons he had tried to teach her: kindness, mercy, control. "We don't kill the helpless," he whispered. Bora understood. She released Dako but dragged one massive claw across his face, leaving deep marks that would never heal. "A scar to remember this day?" "Tell everyone," Taiwu said weakly. "Tell them what happens when you come for us." Dako ran. His remaining ships fled with him. Bora shrank back to her smaller size and pressed her body against Taiwu's. Her tongue licked his wounds, and he felt something strange, a warmth that spread through his body. The bleeding slowed. The pain faded. "Thank you," he said softly. Bora made a low sound and rested her head on his chest. Her markings pulsed with his heartbeat, steady and strong. The galaxy now knew what they were. There was no hiding anymore. But Taiwu was not afraid. They had faced death together. They had survived together. Together they could face anything. The news spread like fire across the galaxy. A living Shinji existed. The ancient beasts, the living gods, the weapons of legend had returned. And one of them was bonded to a human. Taiwu received the message 3 months after the battle with General Dako. It came from the Galactic Council, the alliance of elder species that ruled known space. They were not asking him to come. They were ordering him. This could be a trap, Nari warned. Taiwu looked at Bora, who lay sleeping in the cargo bay. She was even bigger now, her body nearly filling the entire space. When she breathed, the ship seemed to breathe with her. "Maybe, but if we run, they'll chase us forever. We need to face this." The Council's capital world was called Centrum. It was a massive planet covered entirely by one great city. Ships flew through the sky like clouds of insects. Buildings rose so high they disappeared into the clouds. More species lived here than Taiwu could count when he landed his small, beaten ship in the Council's port. He felt very small indeed. Bora walked beside him as they moved through the massive halls of the Council building. Her claws clicked against the stone floor. Her purple eyes watched everything. The aliens around them moved away quickly, their faces showing fear and wonder. Inside the great chamber, the Council waited. 12 seats arranged in a circle, each one holding a representative from one of the elder species. Their eyes, all different shapes and colors, focused on Taiwu and Bora. "You are the human who claims ownership of the Shinji?" One of them asked. It was a tall creature with blue skin and no eyes. I don't own her, Taiwu replied. She's my friend. My family, murmurs spread through the chamber. A different council member spoke, this one a small being made entirely of floating crystals. The Shinjei are weapons of mass destruction. They cannot have friends. They cannot be family. They must be controlled or destroyed. She's right here, Taiwu said, his voice hard. Maybe you should ask her what she wants. Before the council could respond, the doors of the chamber burst open. A group of aliens walked in, dressed in robes of black and gold. Their skin was gray, their eyes yellow, and they moved with the pride of royalty. We are the Velros remnant, their leader announced. She was a female with sharp features and a cold smile. I am Matriarch Soren, and we have come to claim what belongs to us. The council members shifted uncomfortably. The Velrosian Empire had been dead for centuries, but clearly some of its children had survived. Matriarch Soren walked toward Bora, her yellow eyes gleaming. The Shinjei were created by our ancestors. They served the Velrosian throne for 10,000 years. This creature is our property by ancient law. Bora's fur rose. A low growl rumbled from her chest. She's not property, Taiwu said, stepping between Soren and Bora. She's a living being. She has the right to choose. Soren laughed. Choose? The Shinjei do not choose. They obey. Let me show you. She raised her hands and began to speak in a strange language, words that seemed to twist the air itself. It was an ancient ritual, a command built into the Shinjei's very blood. For 10,000 years, this ritual had forced them to serve. The markings on Bora's body flickered. Her muscles tensed. Taiwu felt something through their bond, a pulling sensation, as if something was trying to tear Bora away from him. For a long moment, no one moved. Everyone watched Bora, waiting to see what she would do. Then Bora took a step. Not toward Soren, toward Taiwu. She pressed her massive head against his chest, her purple eyes looking up at him with complete trust. Her growl grew louder, directed at the matriarch. No, Bora's voice echoed in Taiwu's mind. He is mine. I am his, Soren's face twisted with shock and rage. Impossible. The ritual has never failed. A new voice spoke from across the chamber. Perhaps it failed because the bond she has is stronger than any ritual? Taiwu turned to see a man in human diplomatic clothing approaching. He was older, with gray hair and kind eyes. I am Ambassador Yunsu. I represent humanity on this council. Yunsu walked to stand beside Taiwu and Bora. He faced the council with calm confidence. The Velrosian Empire is gone. Their laws died with them. This Shinjei has chosen a new partner, a human partner. That bond is real. That bond is valid. Humans cannot bond with Shinjei, Soren spat. You are too weak. Too simple. Yunsu smiled. And yet here we are. Perhaps what you call weakness, we call something else. Love, compassion, the ability to see others as more than tools. He looked at Bora. You created the Shinjei to be weapons. This human raised one to be a friend. Perhaps that is why she chose him over you? The council was silent for a long moment. Then the blue-skinned representative spoke. We will vote. All those who recognize the bond between this human and this Shinjei as valid under galactic law. One by one, the hands rose. 8 of 12. The majority. The bond is recognized, the representative announced. The human called Taiwu is the legal partner of the Shinjei called Bora. They are free to go. Taiwu felt relief wash over him. He put his hand on Bora's head and she made a deep, happy sound, but as they walked out of the chamber, Matriarch Soren stepped in front of them. Her yellow eyes burned with hatred. This is not over, human, she whispered. The Shinjei belongs to Velros. I will take her back, even if I have to burn your entire species to do it. Taiwu met her gaze without fear. You can try. He walked past her, Bora at his side. Behind them, the matriarch watched with cold fury. She had lost today, but she was patient. She could wait. The war was just beginning. The Velros remnant fleet came out of nowhere. One moment, the space around Taiwu's ship was empty. The next moment, it was filled with warships. Hundreds of them, ancient Velrosian vessels that had been hidden for centuries, now awakened for one purpose, to take Bora back. Taiwu stood in his cockpit and watched the fleet surround him. His small cargo ship looked like a fish in a sea of sharks. There was no way to run, no way to hide. All ships are charging weapons, Nari reported. We have approximately 4 minutes before they open fire. Taiwu closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He thought about running. He thought about surrendering. He thought about all the ways this could end. Then he opened his eyes and made his choice. Nari, send a message to Yuna and Ambassador Hyunsu. Tell them where we are. Tell them everything. Message sent. But they cannot arrive in time to help us. Maybe not, but at least they'll know what happened. He turned to look at Bora, who stood behind him. Her massive body filled the corridor, her purple eyes watching him with complete trust. Bora, I've never asked you to fight for me. I've always tried to keep you safe. But these people won't stop. They'll never stop. And if they take you, they'll turn you into the weapon your ancestors were. I can't let that happen. Bora pressed her head against him. Through their bond, he felt her answer. She was not afraid. She was ready. Then let's show them what we are, Taiwu said. The first wave of enemy fighters came screaming toward them. Taiwu flew his ship through the storm of laser fire, dodging and weaving with skills he didn't know he had. But it wasn't enough. A blast hit the left side of the ship and alarms filled the air. Hull breach in cargo bay, Nari announced. We cannot survive another hit? Bora moved. She walked to the cargo bay door, her claws gripping the metal floor. The door opened and the vacuum of space pulled at her fur. She didn't care. She jumped in the cold darkness of space. Bora transformed. Her body exploded with light, growing larger and larger until she was the size of a small starship. Her silver and purple fur blazed like a newborn star. Her 6 legs stretched wide, each claw now the size of a fighter ship. Her eyes, those beautiful purple eyes, burned with ancient power. She had become what her ancestors were meant to be. A true Shinjei, a god of the stars that enemy fighters tried to run. They were not fast enough. Bora moved through space like light itself, her claws cutting through metal, her roar creating waves of energy that shut down enemy systems. Ships spun out of control. Weapons failed. In minutes, the first wave was gone, but Bora did not kill them. Every ship she destroyed, she cut carefully, leaving the crew alive. Every pilot that tried to escape, she let go. She remembered Taiwu's lessons: mercy, control, strength without cruelty. The main fleet opened fire. Hundreds of weapons pointed at Bora, and hundreds of beams of deadly light shot toward her. She raised her head and roared. From her body, a shield of purple energy spread outward, blocking every blast. The attacks splashed against it like water against stone. Then she attacked. She was everywhere. Every ship she touched, she disabled. Every weapon that fired at her, she destroyed. She was beautiful and terrible, a force of nature that could not be stopped. The ancient Velrosian warships, built to conquer worlds, fell before her one by one, and then she reached the flagship. Matriarch Soren stood on the bridge of her ship, watching in horror as Bora's massive face appeared in the viewing window. Those purple eyes looked at her, looked through her, and saw everything she was. Please, Soren whispered. Please, I surrender. I give up. Don't kill me. Bora's voice echoed in her mind, powerful and ancient. I do not kill the helpless. My partner taught me that. But you will never come for us again. You will never hurt anyone again. This is my mercy. Take it and be grateful. She turned away from the flagship and left it floating in space, its weapons destroyed, its engines dead. The matriarch lived. But she was broken. Below, in his damaged ship, Taiwu watched it all through the view screen. Tears ran down his face. He had raised a cub. He had taught her kindness and love. And she had become something the galaxy had never seen before, a protector, not a destroyer. A guardian, not a weapon. Help arrived an hour later. Yuna came with her research ship. Ambassador Hyunsu came with a small fleet of human vessels. Other ships arrived too, aliens who had heard what happened and wanted to see the living legend for themselves. Bora shrank back to her normal size and returned to Taiwu's ship. She was tired, her body weak from the transformation. Taiwu wrapped his arms around her massive head and held her close. "You did it," he whispered. "You saved us all." Bora made a soft sound and closed her eyes. Through their bond, he felt her exhaustion, but he also felt her peace. She had found her purpose. She had become what she was meant to be. Yuna's voice came through the communicator. "Taewoo, you need to see this." My scans picked up something when Bora transformed. "There are other Shinjay out there. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. Cubs like Bora was, hidden across the galaxy, waiting for someone to find them." Taewoo looked at Bora. She looked back at him with her beautiful purple eyes. "I know what I need to do," he said. "I need to find them. And I need to find people worthy of raising them." Yunsu's voice joined in. "You won't be alone. After today, the whole galaxy knows what a human can do with love and patience. There are others who want to help. Others who believe in what you've shown us." Taewoo smiled. The cargo pilot who had crashed on a dead planet was gone. In his place was something new. A shepherd. A teacher. A legend. He looked out at the stars, at the endless darkness filled with endless possibilities. "Let's go find them," he said. "Let's show the galaxy what humanity can do." Bora rose to her feet, strong once more. Her markings pulsed with Taiwu's heartbeat, a bond that would never break. Together, they flew into the stars. The galaxy had always feared what humanity might become. They had never considered what humanity might nurture.